To prove that humans and zombies can actually make babies, I went ahead and tied up a relatively clean female zombie. Ever since the disaster struck without warning, almost 90% of humanity has mutated into zombies. But by some twist of fate, I activated a romance strategy system that totally doesn't fit the apocalypse. And right at that moment, an exceptionally gorgeous female zombie appeared right in front of me without warning. That instantly made me realize something. The romance system never restricted species, did it? Besides, letting such a pretty female zombie go would be an absolute waste. The moment this thought popped into my head, I immediately pulled a rope from my pocket, waited for the right moment, and gave it a hard toss, looping it perfectly around the female zombie. She let out a piercing shriek on the spot, but the very next second, I shoved a rag into her mouth. Smelling the scent of a living human so close to her, the zombie went completely frantic. She desperately tried to press her little head against me, but I excitedly grabbed her hand instead. In that instant, the system's notification chimed loudly in my head. Congratulations, host, for completing the hand-holding mission. Target, Shenqing. Identity, female college student. Current status, zombie. Affection level, 0. Hand-holding reward, 100 kilograms of raw meat. First kiss reward, zombie virus vaccine. Full capture reward, genetic evolution potion. Seeing these generous rewards, my breathing instantly quickened. Just this starting 100 kilos of meat alone is enough for me to eat comfortably for 2.5 years. Not to mention the 2 overpowered items after that. But the trickiest problem right now is, how exactly do I increase Shenqing affection level? After pondering for a moment, I reached out and pulled the rag from Shenqing mouth. She immediately started roaring frantically at me, snapping her sharp teeth loudly. The sound alone was chilling. Without hesitation, I pulled a chunk of raw meat right out of my system inventory and stuffed it into her mouth. The roaring stopped instantly, as she began tearing frantically into the meat. Seeing this sight, I sighed helplessly. With a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth like that, it looks like I can't count on that first kiss reward anytime soon. Just then, the door next door suddenly opened, and a man and a woman walked out. The woman spoke up, "Hey, handsome, my husband and I haven't eaten in 2 days. You have so much food, you're even feeding a zombie. Could you spare a little for us?" The two of them were a newlywed couple. The man was Shen Liang, and the woman was Lin Wanqi. These two used to live purely on takeout. They had absolutely no food stored at home. In my past life, I fell for their sweet talk and foolishly shared my food with them. I thought they would be grateful, but while I was out scavenging for supplies, they completely ransacked my room. They even locked the door from the outside and refused to open it no matter how much I yelled. For ungrateful backstabbers like them, there was no way I was giving them food again. However, this Lin Wanqi standing before me could be of use. Just as this thought arose, the system interface floated before my eyes. Name, Lin Wanqi. Identity, married woman. Affection level, -2. Hand-holding reward, 100 kilograms of fresh fruits and vegetables. First kiss reward, a 120 square meter fully furnished apartment. Full capture reward, a 1000 square meter luxury villa. Seeing these rewards, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but curl up. That's 100 kilos of fruits and vegetables. Although I wasn't short on food, in the apocalypse, a balanced diet is of utmost importance. Seeing me smile, the two of them thought I had agreed to their request. Shen Liang immediately shamelessly demanded, "Give us 10 pounds of pork first, and 3 jugs of purified water." I almost laughed out of sheer anger. When did I ever agree to that? Even if I had so much food I had to feed it to dogs, I would never give it to ungrateful wretches like you. Dropping those words, I pushed Shenqing straight back into the room. Shen Liang glared at me, grinding his teeth in anger, wanting to attack but fearful of the zombie beside me. Back in the room, I tied Shenqing up securely and casually opened the system panel. The result surprised me greatly. Shenqing's affection level actually went up by 5 points. I instantly recalled the late stages of the apocalypse in my past life, where evolved zombies developed intelligence. Could Shenqing also evolve? And just for a little bit of meat, her affection level went up by 5 points. This was way easier than winning over a normal woman. Thinking of this, I took out a few more chunks of raw meat to feed her, successfully grinding her affection level up to 10. I wanted to keep feeding her in one go, but looking at her slightly bulging little belly, I decided to call it a day. After shoving the rag back into her mouth, I started planning my next move. 1 month after the zombie outbreak, a terrifying extreme cold weather event would descend. I only had about 20 days left to prepare. The first thing to secure was supplies. Food and water were the #1 priorities for survival. Next were winter clothes and medicine. These were relatively easy to handle. But as for the most crucial thing, a safe house, I didn't have a single clue yet. The safe house not only needed to be sturdy enough, but also capable of maintaining a stable temperature in the extreme cold. Finding a ready-made building that met all these criteria was harder than climbing to heaven. As far as I knew, there was no such place in the entire city of Binhai. But just then, a flash of inspiration hit me. I remembered Lin Wanxi's first kiss reward and hurriedly called out to the system in my mind. System, is a house you reward a pre-existing one, or can it be conjured out of thin air? The system replied, all rewarded houses are built out of thin air. The host may specify any location for construction. What if I have special requirements for the house, like building it with titanium alloy, having secret exits, warehouses, and medical and communication equipment? The system stayed silent for a few seconds. This requires the host to provide architectural blueprints. Additionally, communication and medical equipment are not included. The host must acquire them independently. This made me absolutely overjoyed. That meant my titanium safe house was actually possible. Right at that moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. Lin Wanxi was standing outside all alone. Seeing that no one was opening the door, she was burning with anxiety. At both ends of the pitch-black corridor, Who knew if a zombie would suddenly pop out? Just as she was about to give up, the door finally opened. A look of joy had just appeared on Lin Wanqi's face, but upon seeing the kitchen knife in my hand, her heart skipped a beat, and she quickly explained, don't have any weapons on me. I narrowed my eyes and looked her up and down. Lin Wanqi also noticed my scrutinizing gaze. If this had been before, she probably would have slapped me by now. But since she was begging for a favor, she could only force a smile. I want to borrow some food from you. I glanced at her with utter disdain. No, I'll make it worth your while. As long as you lend me some food, I will, but I wasn't buying it at all. You'll what? If you have nothing to say, I'm closing the door. Lin Wanqi didn't budge after hearing this. What? Aren't you afraid a zombie will jump out at you? As soon as I said that, a zombie's roar echoed from a distance. Lin Wanqi's pretty face instantly turned pale with fright, and she had no choice but to brace herself and enter. Right as I was closing the door, I made eye contact with Shenliang from across the hall. Seeing that I spotted him, he immediately pulled his head back. I chuckled lightly and shut the door. He really is a natural-born ninja turtle, top-notch at pulling his head back into his shell. Seeing Lin Wanqi, Shenqing Wu, who was in the room, instantly became frantic. Lin Wanqi was so scared she instinctively stepped back, let out a scream, and distanced herself. How could you keep a zombie in your house? Aren't you afraid? I kept a calm expression. What's there to be afraid of? It's just a zombie. These words made her involuntarily compare me with Shenliang. She thought to herself, if her husband had even half of my courage, she wouldn't have to come here and suffer this humiliation. At this thought, Lin Wanqi let out a sigh. Tell me, what exactly do you want me to do in exchange for food? A few minutes later, she returned to the living room and yelled at me with a terrible tone. I did everything you asked for. Where's the food? I slowly and deliberately opened the fridge, intentionally letting her see it stuffed with fresh meat. In that moment, a thought flashed through Lin Wanqi's mind. Should she just knock me out? But reason eventually gained the upper hand. Actually, I had been on guard against her every move. The fact that Lin Wanqi didn't attack actually made me feel a bit regretful. I was this close to a justifiable self-defense. I took out about a pound of pork and casually tossed it in front of her. She stared at the meat on the floor with an ugly expression. You're only giving me this much? That's already a lot. I originally only planned to give you half a pound. Little did Lin Wanqi know just how precious a pound of meat was in the apocalypse. She only remembered that when Shenliang married her, the bride price was 380,000, and her name was even on the property deed. Lin Wanqi took a deep breath and finally bent down to pick up the pork from the floor, walking out with a cold face. Seeing her like this, I wasn't angry, but rather delighted. The more she suffered, the stronger my thrill of revenge became. Then, feeling great, I pulled up the system panel. The house and the produce all showed a ready-to-claim status. Although a 100 square meter house was a bit small, I had a way to fix that. As long as I found another woman with a similar status to Lin Wanqi, I could expand upon the 100 square meters. The only problem right now was the design blueprints for the safe house. Fortunately, there might be survivors from the architecture department at Binhai University. Looks like I'll have to make a trip outside. Early the next morning, I started scavenging for supplies. My first target was room 504 across the hall. I directly pulled out a wire and jammed it into the keyhole, picking it easily in just a few seconds. Just as I entered the room, I heard chewing sounds coming from the bedroom. I tiptoed over and pushed open the bedroom door, only to see a white-haired old man gnawing on a corpse on the bed. How creepy, I muttered under my breath, grabbed my meat cleaver and swung it at the zombie. Unexpectedly, the strike didn't cause much damage. Instead, it completely enraged him. He turned around and lunged at me, claws bared. I kicked him right in the chest, sending him flying backward. Then I rushed up and hacked a few more times until he completely stopped moving. Catching my breath, I realized the cleaver's blade had already rolled in 2 places. After all, it was just a kitchen knife. It was fine for chopping meat, but chopping zombie bones was a bit beyond its limits. It seemed it was time to find a handier weapon. Approaching noon, I finally completely swept through all 6 rooms on the 5th floor. In total, I took care of 3 zombies and found a case of malt juice, 7 random bottles of pills, and a tub of protein powder. Although it was a fruitful haul, this sharp meat cleaver was completely ruined. Fortunately, I found a baseball bat. After swinging it a couple of times, it felt pretty good. Meanwhile, Lin Wanqi and Shenliang had been looking through their peephole, witnessing my entire process of hacking the zombie to death. My frenzied demeanor made them both gulp hard, secretly glad they hadn't a death wish earlier, otherwise they'd be dead by now. It wasn't until they heard my door close next door that the 2 dared to open their door and come out. They carefully searched room by room, hoping to scavenge any food I might have missed. Unfortunately, I had searched too thoroughly. They couldn't find a single damn thing. Damn it, is that bastard the reincarnation of a locust? He didn't leave a single edible thing behind. I think I found a steak, but it's covered in mold. Shenliang rolled his eyes in thought. Honey, why don't you go ask him for some more food? Lin Wanqi's face was full of reluctance. We just had noodles yesterday. We're not that hungry yet. Let's not go just yet. We might not be hungry now, but we will be sooner or later. Are you really going to wait until he feeds all the food to the zombie before you go ask? Seeing her hesitate, Shenliang immediately grabbed her hand with genuine affection. Honey, I want to survive together with you. We will definitely hold out until the rescue team arrives. Looking at her husband's pleading eyes, Lin Wanqi gritted her teeth. Fine, I'll go. As soon as Lin Wanqi walked through the door, she smelled a tantalizing aroma. At that moment, I walked out of the kitchen, quickly bringing out a rice cooker. Inside was a full pot of stewed potatoes. I opened another bottle of malt juice, sat comfortably on the sofa, and started eating. The smell made Lin Wanqi gulp with craving. But seeing that I didn't say anything, she could only stand there awkwardly. I took a couple of bites before acting as if I suddenly remembered her. Almost forgot about you. With that, I got up, grabbed a plate, and scooped some meat onto it. Lin Wanqi thought it was for her. Just as she happily reached out to take it, I walked right past her toward the sofa. After pulling the rag out of Shenqing Wu's mouth, she immediately buried her head in the plate and started wolfing it down. On the other side, Lin Wanqi's face was full of embarrassment. She coughed dryly and changed the subject. You cleared out the 5th floor today? Yeah, I'm getting ready to leave. Just gathering some more supplies before I go. Hearing this, Lin Wanqi's eyes instantly widened. What? You're leaving? There are zombies everywhere outside. Where could you possibly go? I smiled and didn't answer. Why? Hate to see me go? Hearing this, Lin Wanqi looked furious. Like hell, I'd hate to see you go. I wish you dropped dead out there. But despite her words, her eyes hid a bit of worry. If I left with all the food, wouldn't she and Shen Liang starve to death? Spit it out. What did you really come to me for? I want to trade for food. I couldn't help but sneer. I had expected Lin Wanqi to come back, but I didn't expect her to be so shameless. In the blink of an eye, 4 days passed. I had already turned the whole building upside down. And over these past few days, Shenqing Wu's appetite had become increasingly terrifying. From being full on half a pound of meat at first, to now, 2.5 pounds wasn't even enough to fill the gaps in her teeth. Yet her lower abdomen didn't look bloated at all. If it weren't for her affection level constantly rising, I really wouldn't want to feed her anymore. Regardless of whether she could understand or not, I started threatening her on my own. I've been feeding you for 6 days now. If you still dare to get any ideas about biting me, I'll leave you here to fend for yourself. With that, I took the rag out of her mouth. She didn't roar like she did at the very beginning. Instead, she opened her mouth, waiting to be fed. If you dare bite me, I won't give you any food. Understand? Since you're not saying anything, I'll take that as a yes. I tentatively reached my hand out toward Shenqing Wu. As a result, she unceremoniously opened her mouth to bite. I immediately shouted loudly, no. She was stunned for a moment by my shout, then tilted her head and looked at me. I carefully reached my hand out again, but Shenqing Wu still tried to bite anyway. We went back and forth like this over a dozen times. Just as I was about to give up, she finally stopped trying to bite. Instead, she stared intently at my face as if trying to use my expression to judge whether this thing was edible. A wave of ecstasy washed over me. I gently shook my head at her. Shenqing Wu seemed to understand what I meant, and surprisingly didn't try to bite again. Excited, I took out another piece of meat and handed it over, and gave her a nod. This time she just started eating right away. I tried a few more times after that, and she always waited for me to nod before she would eat. To verify if she could only restrain her aggression while tied up, I decided to do another experiment. First, I untied the ropes on her body, then placed a plate of meat on the coffee table. Shenqing Wu stood up unsteadily and walked toward me. She first looked at the meat on the table, then looked at me sideways. Then she raised her hand and pointed at the meat on the plate. I was overjoyed in my heart and nodded to her. Only then did Shenqing Wu pick up the plate and start devouring the food. I must say her table manners are still as awful as ever. But the good news is, with her affection level at only 40, she has already stopped attacking me. If I max out her affection to 100, wouldn't I get a perfectly obedient zombie minion? How is this a romance system? It's clearly a master-servant nurturing system. Meanwhile, Shen Liang has been on pins and needles these past few days. He already knows that I'm about to leave. Whether for the food or for revenge, he doesn't want me to leave here alive. But doing it alone is out of the question. After all, I'm someone who can easily solo zombies. A total badass. So Shen Liang set his sights on using his wife again. Wifey, we absolutely cannot let that kid next door leave. At least, not with all that food. Why don't you go borrow food one more time? Unlock the door when he falls asleep, and let me in. We'll take the chance to finish him off. Out of a sense of guilt, Lin Wanqi agreed to almost whatever he asked. She ultimately nodded her head. Shen Liang instantly got excited. Perfect. We'll make our move as soon as it gets dark. I'll go prepare. Watching Shen Liang walk away, Lin Wanqi let out a bitter smile. He didn't even ask about the specific plan. It seems he knows full well what it entails. Meanwhile, since I planned to leave first thing tomorrow morning, I decided to go to bed early. But just as I lay down, I heard a knock on the door. I opened it, a hint of a smile on my lips. Hungry again so soon? Hearing this, Lin Wanqi cursed inwardly, wishing she could punch me in the face. But she held it back and even squeezed out a seductive expression. It's not just hunger. Come in. I stepped aside to let her pass. Just as Lin Wanqi walked past me, I raised my hand and slapped her backside. That jelly-like sensation genuinely amazed me. Lin Wanqi covered her butt, glaring at me angrily. You have to give me an extra biscuit for that. Seeing her too furious to speak her mind made me throw my head back and laugh. So being completely shameless feels this good? I don't feel a shred of pity for her. After what they did to me in my past life, this is just karma. Lin Wanqi lowered her head, her eyes burning with rage. Just wait until tonight is over. We'll see if you can still laugh. A few hours later, Lin Wanqi came out, trembling and leaning against the wall. It was only a dozen steps from the bedroom to the door, yet it took her several minutes. As soon as she opened the door, Shen Liang slipped inside. How is it? Is he asleep yet? Perfect. I'll go finish him off right now. With that, Shen Liang tightened his grip on his fruit knife. But he hadn't taken a few steps before he saw a figure standing by the bedroom door. This scared the living daylights out of Shen Liang. Didn't you say he was asleep? Lin Wanqi was also startled, but immediately noticed something was wrong. That's the zombie that bastard keeps. How did she break free from the ropes? Hubby, what do we do? Should we retreat for now? Shen Liang was deeply conflicted at this moment. Although he was afraid of the zombie, he knew even better that if he missed tonight, he'd never get another chance. Besides, Shenqing Wu looked kind of dumb and sluggish, which gave Shen Liang the illusion that he could easily take her on. However, just to be safe, he still said to Lin Wanqi, Wifey, You go distract her, and I'll finish her from behind. Hearing this, Lin Wanqi shuddered in fear. Don't worry, I won't let her hurt you, Shen Liang promised verbally, but in his heart he was already prepared to throw his wife under the bus at any moment. But there was no way Lin Wanqi would do it. She didn't love him enough to die for him. Just then, my impatient voice came from the bedroom door. I say, how long are you two going to keep discussing? Hearing my voice, Shen Liang and Lin Wanqi's hearts almost leaped out of their throats. You're actually awake? With you guys making all this noise? I would have been woken up even if I was asleep. Seeing the breezy smile on my face, Lin Wanqi immediately turned pale. Hubby, let the zombie stall him. Let's run. You mean her? Under their gazes of disbelief, I raised my hand and rubbed Shenqing Wu's head. And not only did she not attack me, she obediently let me pet her instead. This scene scared the crap out of the two of them. How is this possible? It's one thing that she doesn't look like a zombie, but how come her habits are completely different too? Shen Liang suddenly pushed Lin Wanqi towards me and turned to bolt for the door. But he didn't make it far before I caught up and knocked him down with one swing of my bat. Wait, I have something to say. Please don't kill me. But I couldn't be bothered to waste my breath on him. I finished him off swiftly and cleanly. Watching this unfold, Lin Wanqi was scared out of her wits. This was all Shen Liang's idea. He's the one who wanted to harm you. It has nothing to do with me. Please forgive me. I swear, I'll serve you like my master from now on. Lin Wanqi still harbored a glimmer of hope, thinking I wouldn't have the heart to kill her. Little did she know, I coldly replied, you don't realize you were wrong. You just realize you're about to die. At that moment, Shenqing Wu leaned in, pointing at the two corpses on the floor. I shook my head. No, these have already gone bad. Early the next morning, I took Shenqing Wu and rode the motorcycle away from the apartment. It's worth mentioning that the roaring engine attracted countless zombies along the way. But these slow-moving guys couldn't catch up at all. They could only watch helplessly as I sped away. Upon arriving at Binhai University, in order to shake off the zombie horde behind me, I was about to find a random building to hide in. Suddenly, I heard someone calling out to me, over here. I hesitated for a moment, then ditched the motorcycle and ran towards the voice. Seeing me approach, the person who shouted quickly moved away from the window. Supporting myself on the window frame with one hand, I stylishly vaulted inside. But Shenqing Wu's body was stiff. She didn't know how to vault a window, so she just stood blankly outside. A few helpful male students wanted to lend her a hand, but I shoved them away. No need. I've got this. With that, I leaned my upper body out, grabbed Shenqing Wu under her armpits, and pulled her inside with little effort. Just then, a guy who looked like a rich kid spoke up. You must be the person my dad sent to save us, right? This guy's name was Gu Chengyu. Relying on his status as the mayor's son, he fooled the others into believing his dad would send rescue. Because of this, he became the leader of these survivors. I ignored his outstretched hand. Who the hell are you? Do I know you? Gu Chengyu's face instantly turned ugly. He said that just to show off, but didn't expect me to give him zero respect. To salvage his dignity, he started putting on the airs of a leader. So that means, you're just a survivor like the rest of us. Since that's the case, you have to follow our rules. Seeing this, one of his lackeys behind him immediately stepped up, trying to snatch my backpack. I swatted his hand away and took a step back. What are you doing? Gu Chengyu put on a self-righteous look. In order for everyone to survive, please hand over your supplies. We will distribute them collectively. I sneered coldly. Whether you guys live or die has absolutely nothing to do with me. Hearing this, Gu Chengyu deliberately raised his voice, so everyone could hear. If everyone was as selfish as you, we would have starved to death long ago. We're doing this to maximize and rationally utilize our supplies. I really couldn't listen to this anymore, and directly interrupted him. Your life and death are none of my business. I have no intention of teaming up with you, so I'm absolutely not handing over my supplies. Gu Chengyu gave a cold smile and pointed out the window. Then, I'm sorry, but please leave immediately. Meanwhile, outside the window, the zombies I had attracted earlier were scrambling against the glass, drooling over us. Of course, I wasn't going to leave right now. Besides, my goal for coming here hasn't been achieved yet. There are plenty of classrooms here. I'll leave naturally after staying for a few days. Regarding an outsider like me, the students were more willing to listen to Gu Chengyu, so they surrounded me with righteous indignation. Who do you think you are talking to young Master Gu like that? If we hadn't saved you just now, you'd be dead already. Exactly. This is our school. Why should an outsider like you stay in our classroom? I couldn't help but chuckle. You're trying to reason with me in the apocalypse? Furthermore, so what if I force my way to stay? Do you greenhouse flowers who haven't even seen blood dare to fight someone like me, who crawled out from a sea of blood and mountain of corpses? Just as both sides were at each other's throats, a girl in a long dress with a fresh and elegant aura walked in. What's going on here? Lu He, this guy wants to freeload here, and we were just about to kick him out. Lu He frowned slightly. If he wants to stay, just let him stay. We have so many empty classrooms here. Why kick him out? Aren't you just sending him to his death? Everyone disperse. The students looked hesitantly at Gu Chengyu. It wasn't until he nodded that the crowd finally dispersed. Just then, Lu Hu's gaze moved past me and landed on Shenqing Wu. Is this your younger sister? She's so pretty. You could say that. Hello, little sister. What's your name? And why are your eyes so red? Her enthusiasm was met with silence. I quickly stepped in to explain, she's wearing colored contacts. My sister is a bit introverted and doesn't talk much. Don't mind her. She easily bought my nonsense. After all, what zombie wouldn't attack people? Then you guys can stay here. Floors 1 to 3 are safe. Pick any empty classroom you like. But remember, the 4th floor and above are extremely dangerous. Soon, It was noon. In front of a classroom labeled storage, a dozen students were lining up. They were waiting to get their daily rations, but most only got a few crackers. Meanwhile, Gu Chengyu hid inside, secretly eating a scammed chicken leg. But just then, a rich smell of meat wafted over. The group immediately broke the line, all looking towards the smell. Following the aroma, they all rushed downstairs. At this moment, in a second-floor classroom, I had started a fire and was cooking. The group's eyes turned red with envy. Gu Chengyu walked straight in. "Friend, can we trade our food for some of yours?" I ignored him completely. "With your moldy garbage? It tastes terrible and doesn't even fill you up." Gu Chengyu wanted to say more, but I couldn't be bothered. I walked out holding a bowl of meat. "Want some?" Everyone nodded eagerly. I cleared my throat. "Is anyone here an architecture major?" As soon as I said this, the room fell dead silent. After a long pause, someone spoke up weakly. "The architecture students are in another building. They're probably all zombies by now." Hearing this, I was deeply disappointed. My main goal here was to find someone who could design a blueprint for a safe house. Now it seemed I'd come for nothing. But just then, a faint voice came from the crowd. "I'm an architecture major." Everyone looked toward the voice and saw a girl with braided hair, wearing black-framed glasses, looking very timid. Being stared at by so many people, she was clearly nervous. I looked at her suspiciously. Looking so timid, it was hard not to suspect she was just scamming for food. Seeming to notice the disdain in my eyes, the braided girl mustered her courage. "I'm Ruan Yuan. I rank first in our major's grade. If you don't believe me, you can ask the other students. I believe you. But can you draw blueprints?" She jerked her head up, looking at me in surprise. Of course, I didn't just blindly believe her. It was because of the system panel before my eyes. Name, Ruan Yuan. Identity, architecture student. Favorability, 0. Holding hands reward, solar power equipment or water purification device. Choose 1. First kiss reward, 1 surveillance system set. Full capture reward, 4 auto turrets plus 100 rounds of special ammo. Oh boy, these rewards get better and better. If I can get them all, my safe house would get a massive upgrade. Hearing my question, Ruan Yuan nodded eagerly like a pecking chick. "I can." "Then can you draw some more unconventional building blueprints?" A huge question mark popped up in Ruan Yuan's little head. But for the sake of food, she still agreed. "You're hired. Your daily pay is a bowl of meat and a bowl of vegetables." Ruan Yuan thought getting just a little meat would be great. She didn't expect vegetables too. She happily accepted the job immediately. While some were happy, others were not. Gu Chengyu glared at me fiercely, then slinked away with his underlings. Arriving at the stairs, an underling named Lu Ye checked his surroundings. Making sure no one followed, he spoke. "Young Master Gu, that guy is too arrogant. How about we kill him?" Gu Chengyu pondered for a moment. "No. You saw how he handled those zombies today. We're no match for him at all." Right now, Gu Chengyu wanted to deal with me more than anyone, but unfortunately, he lacked the strength. His underling Lu Ye wanted to say more, but Gu Chengyu had already walked off in a huff. Lu Ye watched his back and snorted coldly. "You get to eat well, so of course you don't care about his food, but I'm still starving." "No way. I have to find a way to get his supplies." Meanwhile, Ruan Yuan finished her meal and licked her lips, wanting more. Seeing this, I asked, "Want some more?" Ruan Yuan shook her head. "I've already eaten my pay for today. If I overdraw for tomorrow, I'll have to go hungry then." Her words made me pause for a second. "Then let's get to work." Ruan Yuan agreed and immediately got into work mode. She opened her backpack and took out a laptop. "Tell me your requirements." "I need a blueprint for a safe house. It needs to cover 100 square meters and be extremely durable. It must have a warehouse, escape route, lounge, and bathroom. If it's 100 square meters, it's a bit too small for a safe house, because you'll need space for farming and breeding, right?" I looked at her in surprise. This girl thought it through better than I did. "That's right. So you need to leave space for future expansion." "I understand. I'll start right now." Hearing this, I asked her excitedly, "How long will it take?" "Probably a few days. Any revisions will take another 2 or 3 days." I immediately frowned. According to memories from my past life, a cold wave would hit in just over a week. If we don't move into the safe house by then, we'd freeze to death in this drafty building. I need the blueprints within 7 days. Can you do it?" Ruan Yuan hesitated at first, but soon her eyes grew determined. "No problem. 7 days it is." I took Shenqing to the rooftop, looking for a suitable spot for the safe house. Soon, I spotted a clearing behind the school. Blocked by the teaching buildings in front and backed by the mountains, it was nearly impossible to see from outside the school. Plus, there weren't many zombies there. I grabbed my baseball bat and headed over to clear the area. Jumping out a first-floor window, I scanned the surroundings. There were 4 zombies roaming nearby. Even though I carefully smashed one to death, it still alerted the other 3. The first to charge was a guy in a t-shirt. He looked like a former student athlete. Unlike those sluggish zombies, this athlete zombie ran incredibly fast. He dashed right up to me in the blink of an eye. Staying calm, I dodged to the side and struck him with my bat. As expected of an athlete, this zombie could still move after taking a hit. I immediately added another stick. This is the 3rd zombie also jumped in front of me. I took it down with a sweep kick and finished it off with 2 more strikes. Just then, the last zombie pounced. Before I could get up, I was tackled to the ground. The zombie opened its bloody jaws and bit down on my baseball bat, chewing vigorously up and down. I cursed under my breath trying to shake the zombie off me, but I failed several times. Just as I gathered all my strength to try again, a slender hand suddenly grabbed the zombie's neck and tossed it flying away. I turned my head in astonishment and saw that the hand belonged to Shenqing. The thrown zombie roared and charged again. Before I could stand up, Shenqing Wu instantly grabbed its neck and twisted hard. With a loud crunch, the zombie's head snapped and it fell to the ground. Holy crap, I didn't expect the fragile-looking Shenqing Wu to be this strong. Looks like my guess was right. She has indeed evolved. Back when I saw Shenqing Wu's skin slowly turning from gray to pinkish, I had a suspicion. Now it's finally confirmed. I opened the system panel to check and saw Shenqing Wu's favorability had hit 50. She's much easier to please than human women. No need for designer bags or makeup. Just giving her food is enough. She can even protect me. Stared at by me, Shenqing Wu's face remained emotionless, as if she wasn't the one who just attacked. After resting a bit, I continued clearing the zombies. Shenqing Wu only steps in when my life is in danger. Otherwise, she just watches quietly from the side. It seems if I want to command her to work, I need to keep increasing her favorability. I kept busy until it grew dark, then headed back to the building. Entering the men's room, I was about to undress to wash off the blood, but noticed Shenqing Wu had followed me in. Bathing in front of a woman? This is definitely a first. Though it felt a bit awkward, I figured she's just a zombie after all. Soon, after washing, I was about to change into clean clothes, but suddenly, I looked at Shenqing Wu. Although I have no idea if zombies can sweat, the battle just now left her covered in blood, so I decided to give her a wash as well. Shenqing Wu was staring straight at me right now. Even though I knew she had no concept of gender, my face still flushed embarrassingly. I gritted my teeth and quickly unbuttoned her clothes. Her pale jade-like skin nearly blinded my eyes. Just looking at it made my blood pump a little faster. I quickly reminded myself that she was a zombie, which finally helped me calm down a bit. I hurriedly washed her off. A minute later, we were done. I looked up and met Shenqing Wu's gaze. Alright, you should feel a bit more comfortable now. But she just kept staring deeply into my eyes. Unlike before, there seemed to be a flicker of emotion in her gaze. I wasn't sure if it was just my imagination, so I leaned in curiously to take a closer look. The next second, Shenqing Wu suddenly leaned her body toward me. I totally didn't expect her to ambush me, and had absolutely no time to dodge, but the frantic biting I expected never came. Instead, a soft and slightly sweet sensation pressed against my lips. My eyes widened in pure shock. It wasn't until the system chime rang that I snapped back to reality. Congratulations to the host for unlocking the first KISS reward, Zombie Virus Vaccine. Grants immunity to the zombie virus upon use. I checked Shenqing Wu's affection level on the system panel and was shocked once again. I didn't expect that just giving her a simple bath would make her affection level skyrocket to 60, directly reaching the like stage. I closed the system panel and asked Shenqing Wu, "Do you have feelings now?" Shenqing Wu tilted her head, looking a bit adorable. Obviously, she couldn't comprehend such a complex word. So I switched to a simpler question. "Can you understand what I'm saying?" This time, she nodded. I tried asking a few more questions, but whenever it got slightly complicated, Shenqing Wu would just blank out. From the looks of it, having Shenqing Wu act on her own was still unrealistic. But as her affection level continues to rise, she might actually regain her human emotions. By then, she'd definitely be able to understand more complex commands. But for now, we needed to get out of this restroom first. Back in the classroom, I asked Ruan Yuan for some information and learned that the mini fire station was right by the admin building's entrance. But to get there, we would have to bypass the horde of zombies on the sports field. I silently memorized this information, then told Ruan Yuan to go back and rest. Soon, only Shenqing Wu and I were left in the classroom. I took out the zombie virus vaccine, stabbed the needle directly into my arm, and injected the entire vial. Now, the threat zombies posed to me was even smaller. Meanwhile, on the third floor of the teaching building, two figures were sneaking toward the staircase. One of them looked worried. "Are you sure we won't get into trouble doing this?" The other replied dismissively, "What could happen? No matter how good he fights, there's only two of them, and one of them is just a little girl. Taiju, don't tell me you're scared of a little girl." This person was none other than Lu Ye. Soon, the two of them crept, one after the other, up to the classroom I was in. They found both the front and back doors locked from the inside. But this couldn't stop Lu Ye, who had plenty of experience skipping classes. He fiddled with the window for a moment and managed to push it open. Then he vaulted right into the room. Taiju wasn't as agile as Lu Ye. He swung one leg over the window frame and straddled it. But just as he was about to bring his other leg over, he noticed the petite figure in the classroom sit straight up. Terrified, he nervously stuttered, "Lu Ye, someone's there." Lu Ye instantly went on high alert, but unfortunately, it was too late. He only felt a sudden chill in his chest, as a slender arm had already pierced straight through it. Taiju was scared out of his wits and turned around to flee, but his chest was equally impaled by a hand. Shenqing Wu stared at the fresh blood on her hands. A sudden wave of hunger surged in her mind. The urge drove her to want to lick the blood off, but she ultimately managed to control herself. When I woke up the next day, I saw Shenqing Wu excitedly showing me the blood on her hands. My eyes narrowed. What happened? Shenqing Wu then looked toward the window. I followed her gaze and saw one person dead on the floor, and another slumped against the window. Both had gaping holes in their chests. A nunchaku was dangling next to the corpse. Seeing this, I instantly understood what had happened. Just then, Shenqing Wu grabbed my hand and swung it back and forth. I immediately understood what she meant, so I took her to the restroom to wash the blood off her hands. Back in the classroom, I had just tossed the two corpses out the window when Ruan Yuan walked over hugging her laptop. She gave me a nod of acknowledgement and walked over to the desk to start working. A short while later, Gu Chengyu's nauseating face appeared at the classroom door. "Where's Lu Ye? What did you do to him?" I looked at him with utter indifference. "Who's Lu Ye? Stop playing dumb with me." "The guy with the dyed green hair." I then came to a sudden realization. So one of those two idiots from last night was named Lu Ye. However, I continued to play dumb. I have no idea what you're talking about. And I don't know any Lu Ye. You think I'd buy that? He didn't go missing before, and he didn't go missing later. He vanished right after you showed up. If it wasn't you, then who else? What the hell are you barking about? If someone's missing, go look for him yourself. Don't come shouting at my door. The sound of our argument attracted quite a few students to watch, including Lu He. She asked in confusion, "What's wrong? What happened?" Gu Chengyu's tone finally softened a bit. Lu Ye and Tie Zhu are missing. Lu He thought for a moment. Could they have gone out to scavenge for supplies? Impossible. Without my orders, they would never leave on their own. I took the opportunity to chime in. Are you really that sure they'd listen to you? Maybe they were already sick of you and took the chance to run off while you were asleep. Gu Chengyu's eyes went red with sheer fury. He looked like he wanted to attack me right then and there, but unfortunately for him, he couldn't beat me. Lu He tried to diffuse the highly explosive atmosphere. Maybe they really just had to go out for something, and they'll be back a bit later. Let's just be patient and wait. I'll listen to Lu Hu this once, but if they aren't back before dark, I'm definitely coming to you for an explanation. After dropping that threat, Gu Chengyu walked off with a cold face. As he passed by the storage room, the glasses-wearing guy guarding it reported to him, "Young Master Gu, the food in the storage is almost running out. Then send people out to find more." Understood. I'll go arrange it right away. The guy with glasses was about to leave, but Gu Chengyu called out to stop him. Wait, I'll give you a new list. Make the arrangements based on this. And everyone written on that list were people who didn't quite obey his commands. Keeping people like that in the camp was just asking for trouble, so it was better to send them out to scavenge for supplies. If they died out there, it would conveniently save some rations. It was simply killing two birds with one stone. At this thought, Gu Chengyu's lips gradually curled into a delightfully wicked smirk. At this rate, it won't be more than a few days before only the people who absolutely obey me are left here. When that time comes, he would properly teach a lesson to that bastard who made him lose all his face. Suddenly, a deeply seductive voice drifted over from nearby. "Young Master Gu? So this is where you are. I've been looking all over for you." Gu Chengyu looked up, only to see the glamorously dressed Jiang Weiwei walking toward him. "Why are you here? Where's Lu He? Why isn't she with you? A classmate has a fever. She's busy taking care of them." Hearing this, a perverted smile appeared on Gu Chengyu's face. Since Lu He is tied up at the moment, isn't this the perfect chance to relieve some tension? With that in mind, Gu Chengyu's gaze toward Jiang Weiwei grew increasingly perverse. "Do you need something from me?" Jiang Weiwei bit her lip. Can't I come see you just because?" "Of course you can. I happen to miss you too." A hint of shyness flashed in Jiang Weiwei's eyes. "Oh, stop it. You're making me blush." Seeing her like this, Gu Chengyu felt a heat in his lower stomach as a wave of lust surged through him. He impatiently reached out to grab Jiang Weiwei's waist, but she dodged him. "Young Master Gu, aren't you afraid of someone seeing us? I'd be so embarrassed." Gu Chengyu laughed out loud. "How about this? I happen to be going to the warehouse to check supplies. Why don't you come with me?" Jiang Weiwei nodded repeatedly. "Sure, I'd love to." The two entered the warehouse one after the other. Gu Chengyu, trailing behind, smoothly locked the door shut. Then, he couldn't wait to lean in and kiss her, but she effortlessly dodged him once again. Gu Chengyu grew anxious and frustrated. "What's wrong now?" Jiang Weiwei first scanned the supplies in the warehouse, then she spoke nonchalantly. "Young Master Gu, it looks like we're running low on food." Gu Chengyu replied perfunctorily, "It's enough to last until my dad's people arrive." He started taking off his clothes as he spoke. "Enough talk. Hurry up. It'll be bad if someone catches us." Jiang Weiwei chuckled. "Young Master Gu, will your dad really have the manpower to come save you?" Gu Chengyu suddenly froze. "What do you mean?" But Jiang Weiwei changed the subject, giggling as she covered her mouth. "I was just guessing. Don't be so nervous." "Oh, right. I suddenly remembered. Lu He asked me to help her. Bye-bye, young Master Gu." With that, Jiang Weiwei walked right out, leaving Gu Chengyu standing there awkwardly by himself, looking like an absolute clown. Meanwhile, I was busy clearing out zombies when suddenly I heard cries for help in the distance. Gripping my baseball bat, I looked over. I saw that by the window of a building, a woman was screaming in my direction. I couldn't help but mutter to myself, "Does this woman have a death wish?" Screaming for help in the apocalypse is incredibly dangerous. I knew she wanted to get my attention, but I had absolutely no intention of saving her. However, this woman's shouting inadvertently did me a favor. The zombies in the clearing heard the noise and sluggishly shuffled toward the sound. I turned to Shenqing and said, "Let's go. We can call it a day early." This caused the woman in the building to panic. Where are they going? Didn't they hear my cries for help? Seeing more and more zombies gathering around, she had no choice but to shut her mouth and cry softly. Back in the classroom, I asked Ruan Yuan, "Did you hear a woman yelling just now?" Ruan Yuan nodded. "I heard it. It sounded like Dr. Wen." "You know Dr. Wen? She's our school doctor." I thought for a moment, "You want me to go save her?" My question caused Ruan Yuan's hand to pause on her computer mouse. "I just think she might be useful to you. By the way, that building is the administration building." "Understood." With that said, I took Shenqing to get a shower. 2 days passed. The number of student survivors decreased again. When I first arrived, there were over 50 surviving students. Now, there were probably only 30 or so left. Meanwhile, a sense of panic began to spread. One day, I pointed at Shenqing and told Ruan Yuan, "Keep an eye on her for me. I'm heading to the administration building. Taking her along would be inconvenient." The reason I waited 2 whole days to rescue her was to make the woman named Wen Ning fall into utter despair. That way, when I finally saved her, she would be extremely grateful to me. Half an hour later, I arrived at my destination, but there were over a dozen zombies wandering around. Taking them all out by stealth was impossible. I had to act fast. I took a deep breath and dashed toward the mini fire station. The zombies immediately spotted me and swarmed toward me with angry roars. Seeing this, I sprinted forward with all my might, and right before the zombies could surround me, I rushed into the mini fire station. 2 walkie-talkies, 1 fire axe, 1 escape rope. I packed them all up into my bag. While I was focused on scavenging supplies, I didn't realize the zombies were already within 3 meters of me. Luckily, my reflexes were sharp. I hurriedly slipped into a restroom on the 3rd floor. Wen Ning was already fading in and out of consciousness. In a daze, she faintly heard the loud crash of a door being kicked open. Then, a male voice rang out. Dead? Guess I'm too late. Wen Ning's eyes flew wide open, and she shouted with all her remaining strength. I'm still alive. Please save me. I threw her a baseball bat. Can you still move? Hold on to this weapon if you want to live. Wen Ning gritted her teeth and stood up, leaning against the wall. I can. I led Wen Ning out of the room, only to see a zombie shambling toward us. I took a few steps forward and buried my axe into the zombie's head. Just 1 strike, and the zombie stopped moving. Seeing this, I couldn't help but marvel. This axe really is handy. Wen Ning, following behind, was completely stunned. He kills zombies way too effortlessly. It wasn't until I reached the staircase that she came back to her senses and hurried after me. There were quite a few zombies on the stairs. They had all followed me in. Earlier outside, the terrain was too open. If I got surrounded, I would have had to fend off attacks from all directions. But now there was only 1 staircase. Only 1 zombie could reach me at a time. Naturally, I was full of confidence. Plus, having the high ground, I could easily chop the zombies' heads and necks. In just a few minutes, zombie corpses completely carpeted the staircase. Wen Ning couldn't help but be dumbfounded again. In her eyes, my image grew increasingly heroic and godlike. But right then, her ankle was suddenly grabbed. Down by her feet was a female zombie with half its face bitten off. Instantly, Wen Ning was too scared to move, trembling uncontrollably, tears welling up in her eyes. Yet, I stood aside, indifferent. If you're not going to use that bat on her, are you saving her for the holidays? My words made Wen Ning's face flush. She raised the bat over her head, closed her eyes and brought it down forcefully. I watched all this coldly. I had left this straggler behind on purpose. I needed to use this harsh and direct method to force Wen Ning to adapt quickly. I nodded. Well done. After receiving my approval, Wen Ning felt an unprecedented surge of joy. Not long after, Ruan Yuan stood by the window and shouted excitedly, "You're back!" Shenqing stood beside her. No emotion could be seen on her expressionless face, but her gaze kept following us in the distance. There were also several other students drawn to the commotion. This included Jiang Weiwei. At this moment, she was staring outside, her eyes shining with interest. When I brought Wen Ning to the window, Ruan Yuan was just about to open it, but Jiang Weiwei beat her to it. She pushed the window open and reached out to me, but I completely ignored her and vaulted right inside. Instead, Wen Ning took Jiang Weiwei's hand and struggled to climb in. Once Wen Ning stood firm, she said, "Thank you." Jiang Weiwei's smile was a bit stiff. "You're welcome. Miss Ning, welcome to our group." The other students immediately surrounded Wen Ning, all talking over each other. It was clear she was quite popular among the students. I ignored the noisy crowd and led Shenqing upstairs. "Wait for me." Seeing me leave, Wen Ning simply ditched the students and jogged to catch up with us. The students looked at each other in confusion, wondering why Miss Ning just left them behind. Meanwhile, all 4 women on the 2nd floor appeared at my classroom door at the same time. Ruan Yuan pushed up her glasses, sizing up the other 3. Among them, only her presence was totally justified. The other 3 had no idea why they were even there. I was briefly stunned seeing them at the door, but I quickly composed myself. As I lifted the pot lid, a rich aroma instantly filled the entire classroom. Smelling this delicious scent, the 4 women couldn't help but gulp. I first scooped a bowl for myself and Shenqing, then scooped another and handed it to Ruan Yuan. Ruan Yuan ate while casting smug glances at the others. Wen Ning had been starving for days, relying purely on willpower to survive until now. So when she smelled the aroma, her reaction was the most exaggerated. She was practically drooling a river, but she still managed to thank me. "Thank you for saving me." Suddenly, the system panel appeared before my eyes. Target name, Wen Ning. Identity, school doctor. Affection level, 50. Holding hands reward, medkit, medical skill manual. First kiss reward, zombie virus vaccine. Full conquest reward, clinic and medical equipment. Seeing this, I smiled in satisfaction. It seems ignoring her earlier was the right move. Her affection level just skyrocketed to 50. I looked at Wen Ning and asked, "Want some?" "Yes, very much. Work for me, and I'll give you the same treatment as her. A bowl of meat and a bowl of veggies every day." Hearing this, Ruan Yuan, who was eating happily, suddenly felt the meat in her bowl wasn't as tasty. Meanwhile, Wen Ning agreed without hesitation. "No problem." I immediately scooped a bowl for her, and she started wolfing it down. She really was starving. I then turned my gaze to the remaining 2. Target name, Lu He. Identity, art student, pianist. Affection level, 0. Holding hands reward, piano skills. First kiss reward, complete piano sheet music. Full conquest reward, piano artistic talent. Target name, Jiang Weiwei. Identity, gold digging student. Affection level, 10. Holding hands reward, a car. First kiss reward, a 100 square meter apartment. Full conquest reward, a 1000 square meter mansion. After silently asking the system, I learned I could choose any car model as the reward. From a Geely or Ferrari to a heavy off-road truck, I could even get my hands on a tank. Plus, that 100 square meter apartment sounded pretty sweet. It could directly double the size of my safe house. It seemed this girl Jiang Weiwei actually had some use. As for Lu He's rewards, They were pretty underwhelming. Jiang Weiwei keenly noticed the shift in my gaze. She flipped her hair and spoke coquettishly, "Excuse me, can I work for you too?" Hearing this, Ruan Yuan instantly got goosebumps. She felt utterly disgusted, but she didn't think Jiang Weiwei's little seduction act would work. After all, from what she knew, I only took in people who were useful to me. To her surprise, I simply nodded and agreed. "Sure, your reward will be the same as theirs." Hearing this, Ruan Yuan's eyes widened in shock. What could Jiang Weiwei even do? Why did she deserve the same treatment? Meanwhile, Jiang Weiwei took the bowl I handed her, her fingers seemingly brushing mine by accident. I noticed her hesitation. "You can also choose to stay here." "Of course I'm choosing to follow you." Jiang Weiwei was a smart girl. She knew staying here would end in misery, so she might as well take a gamble on me. Our commotion quickly drew a crowd of onlookers. They immediately started whispering among themselves. Where are they going? Are they crazy enough to go outside? Good riddance if they leave. I never liked them anyway. Lu Hei was also in the crowd. Hearing the students' discussions, she furrowed her brows. Even though I had rejected her yesterday and said such harsh things, she still couldn't bring herself to watch us walk straight to our deaths. So, she rushed out and blocked my way. "Where are you going?" "Leaving. You guys don't want us around anyway, do you?" My retort completely stumped Lu He. She was just about to say something when a voice came from behind. "That's right. We really don't welcome you. However, the rest of you can leave. But Ms. Ning, you're the school doctor. Please stay with us. We really need you." Gu Chengyu knew exactly how vital a doctor was. He was clearly trying to emotionally blackmail Wen Ning using the students. I was instantly furious. Damn it. He dares to poach from me? But before I could speak, Wen Ning stepped forward. "There's no medicine left here. It's useless for me to stay. I should go. Even if you do nothing, just having you here would make everyone feel much safer." Gu Chengyu made one last desperate attempt, but Wen Ning didn't waver at all. She was dead set on leaving with me. Seeing he couldn't persuade Wen Ning, Gu Chengyu gave up on keeping the others. In his eyes, aside from the useful Wen Ning, Ran Yuan and Jiang Weiwei were just dead weight. Cut the crap. Let's go. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him anymore. I turned around and left. The girls behind me immediately followed. Ever since the apocalypse broke out, this was Jiang Weiwei's first time leaving the building. She looked around nervously, ready to bolt at any second. However, what gave her a slight sense of relief was that there were no living zombies around, only dead zombie bodies scattered across the ground. Once we reached the empty lot behind the school, I stopped in my tracks. Seeing this, Jiang Weiwei instantly panicked. "Why did we stop? While there are no zombies around, we should hurry up and leave. We're here. How can anyone live out here in the middle of nowhere? Is this guy insane? I never should have followed him out here." I couldn't care less what Jiang Weiwei was thinking. All my focus was on the system. System. Extract the property reward. Design blueprint detected. Construct according to the blueprint? Yes. As soon as the thought crossed my mind, right on the empty ground, a steel fortress rose out of thin air. The scene unfolding before their eyes left everyone's jaws on the floor. Ren Yuan was the first to recognize it. The building structure was identical to the blueprint she had drawn. She looked at me in absolute shock. Just as she was about to speak, I cut her off completely. "Don't ask questions. All you need to know is that I can keep you alive. That's enough." Jiang Weiwei's previous gloom instantly vanished. Thrilled, she looked ready to throw herself at me on the spot. I walked straight toward the safe house. The main door was made of titanium alloy, equipped with an electronic fingerprint lock. After registering my own fingerprint, I went ahead and registered Shenqing Wu's too. As for Wen Ning and Ruan Yuan, they'd have to wait until their affection level hit 60, and that Jiang Weiwei was too scheming, always plotting something. Unless she reaches 80 affection points, she shouldn't even dream of it. The titanium alloy door slowly opened, and I let everyone inside. Because the space wasn't huge, the safe house only had one living room, 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a storage room. However, the system was quite generous. Not only did it provide a full set of furniture, but it even included a diesel generator. Too bad it only came with 1 barrel of diesel. The girls curiously looked around as soon as they entered, letting out gasps of amazement from time to time. "Oh my god, there's actually a bathtub in the bathroom, and hot water. Such a huge warehouse, it even has a refrigeration function. This is awesome. My goodness. There are actually beds in the bedrooms. Even the living room has a sofa." Hearing their gasps of amazement, I felt incredibly smug inside. And this is just the beginning. As long as I keep farming affection quests, my safe house will keep getting bigger, and it will get more and more functions. At this time, Jiang Weiwei suggested, "Let's allocate the rooms. The boss gets his own room. Ruan Yuan, and I will share one. Teacher Wen and Shenqing Wu will share one." As soon as she finished speaking, Ruan Yuan jumped out to object. "I don't want to share a room with you. I want to share with Teacher Wen." Qingwu didn't make a sound, but silently tugged at the corner of my shirt. "Fine then. The boss and his sister get one room. Ruan Yuan and Teacher Wen get one." But Ruan Yuan was still dissatisfied. "Why do you get a room all to yourself? The situation with the boss and his sister, it's not like you guys didn't see it. And since you refuse to share with me, then I have no choice but to sleep alone." "I have a great idea though. Why don't you just sleep in the living room alone?" "Ruan Yuan, are you purposely trying to mess with me?" Seeing that they were about to start fighting, I immediately raised my voice. "Stop arguing. We'll divide it just like Jiang Weiwei said." As soon as I spoke up, both of them instantly backed down. Ruan Yuan huffed and pulled Wen Ning back to their room. Jiang Weiwei also closed her door. Who knows what she's tinkering with in there. I originally wanted to look around the safe house a bit more, but Shenqing Wu wouldn't let go of me. She pointed at the remaining room and uttered one word in a childish voice. "Sleep." I actually wanted to refuse at first, but I had no choice. Shenqing Wu's big puppy dog eyes were just too lethal. Besides, my nerves have been tense these past few days. so I really should get a good rest. As soon as I lay down on the bed, Shenqing snuggled right up to me, burrowing into my arms like a little kitten. I had to roll over and hug her. Before long, I fell fast asleep. Being a zombie, Shenqing couldn't feel sleepy. She just buried her little face in my chest, quietly feeling my heartbeat. Meanwhile, over at the teaching building, some students noticed the building that appeared out of nowhere. They immediately ran to report it to Gu Chengyu. Hearing this, Gu Chengyu looked baffled. He had no impression of that weird house behind the school. Yet strangely, in his memory, it felt like that house had always been there. Even though they didn't see the safe house appear from nothing, under the system's influence, their subconscious minds all felt that the house being there was perfectly normal. Gu Chengyu stared at the student who reported it. Did you see that outsider take his people into that house with your own eyes? Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. Young Master Gu, that house looks pretty sturdy. How about we go and take it by force? Are you an idiot? Speaking of safety, isn't our building good enough? Instead of living in this huge place, you want to squeeze into some tiny shack? Are you out of your mind, or am I? When I woke up, it was already 5 p.m. In my groggy state, I felt a little hand fumbling around under me. It scared the hell out of me. I instantly woke up completely and grabbed that mischievous hand. What are you doing? Shenqing just blinked her big innocent eyes without speaking. I pinched her chubby little cheeks. Don't play dumb with me. I know you can understand. Hungry. Then it suddenly dawned on me. So this little rascal was hungry, but didn't want to wake me up. So she planned to take matters into her own hands to feed herself. Unfortunately, she didn't know what she was doing. After tossing around for ages, she got nothing out of it. All right. I'll get up and make you something to eat right now. Walking into the living room, I found the other three were there. As soon as Ruan Yuan saw me, she yelled, "Boss, come look at the security cameras." The monitor was showing the scene outside the house. A few scattered white dots were falling from the sky but quickly disappeared. Ruan Yuan asked with a curious face, "Are those willow catkins?" "No, it's snowing." Wen Ning was from the north, so she recognized it at a glance. But the other two local natives looked at her in disbelief. "Are you kidding me? This is Binhai City. I've never seen snow in my entire life." Only I knew clearly in my heart what was behind this bizarre phenomenon. The fourth wave of natural disasters in the apocalypse had finally arrived. According to my memories from my previous life, this snow will fall for 3 whole days. The temperature will also plummet wildly. By the 3rd day, even taking a leak would instantly freeze into an icicle. No way. I absolutely cannot sit and wait for death during these 3 days. I must take advantage of the snow just starting to quickly gather more supplies. Ruan Yuan, what exactly does your school supermarket sell? Ruan Yuan was stunned at first, but seeing my serious expression, she immediately began to explain earnestly. It turned out that the shopping area at Binhai University was called a supermarket, but it was basically a mini mall. They had everything: food and daily necessities. It basically allowed the students to buy whatever they wanted, without leaving campus. So this trip to the supermarket was an absolute must. But not right now. I still had to wait a bit. After lunch the next day, I directly gave Jiang Weiwei and Wen Ning an order. "You two get ready. You're going out with Qingwu and me." Hearing this, Jiang Weiwei's face instantly fell. If she could, she would just stay in the safe house forever. So she started acting coquettish with me. "Boss Tilda, can I not go out?" I looked at her expressionlessly. "Sure, but I don't raise freeloaders on my turf." "I'll go, alright? Do you have to be so scary? Can't I even just ask?" I then added, "Remember to wear more clothes. It's freezing outside." Seeing that she was ignored, Ruan Yuan got anxious. "What about me? Your task is to draw blueprints. Don't worry, I won't just kick you out." Hearing me say this, Ruan Yuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. She really thought she had become the freeloader I was talking about. As soon as we stepped out of the safe house, the snow on the ground was already past our ankles. Heavy snow like goose feathers was falling from the sky. The worst part was, the freezing wind chill outside was probably already below 0. Even though Jiang Weiwei and Wen Ning wore several extra layers of clothing, they were still freezing to death. Their voices even started to tremble when they spoke. "It's so cold. Boss, why don't we just go back inside? It's fine. It'll be better once we get in the vehicle." Jiang Weiwei looked confusedly in the direction I was pointing, and suddenly spotted a massive beast. A heavy-duty truck was parked right next to the safe house. Jiang Weiwei's mouth was open so wide you could fit an egg in it. "Oh my god, where did this truck come from?" I let out a light chuckle. "Where from? It's the reward you contributed, of course." Actually, I had struggled with the decision earlier whether to choose an off-road vehicle or an armored car. But considering our current situation, I figured getting a heavy truck was the most reliable choice. In case some other mutation happens in the future, it's not entirely impossible for it to turn straight into Optimus Prime.